Good afternoon, everybody. A very, very warm welcome to one and all for High Tea with VaYU Shakti. And I'm your host, Lalita Ramamurthy, and I also have my companion and my partner, Saurabh Srivatsava, who is the yoga teacher or the yoga expert. And this is a place where we interject. We have a lot of fun discussing a lot of great things, and we have actually become very happy about this space. Saurabh, I
Oh, I
think
miss it when we don't have it.
which is wonderful, Saurabh. That's the whole point, right? And hopefully we are getting that same vibes and that same interaction with our listeners. I have heard this multiple times. There are some really good followers who follow us every time and give us likes, but we want that to increase. So please be there for us. Share your comments, give us an input on how we're doing, ask us questions. And this is really what we're all about. VaYU Shakti is an integrative wellness solution for you, where we take you as an individual. We do not treat you as just, certain categories or demographics. We take you as an individual. We address to you as an individual also. And our key factors that we take into consideration is yoga, nutrition, and coaching, all three of which can really help you live a very happy and a very successful and a very energized lifestyle. So with that being said, last week, Saurabh, we spoke about a little bit about deep breathing and the abdominal breathing. We also spoke about the right times to do yoga. Incidentally, I had this experience of teaching some yoga. Pardon my novice experiences of teaching, but I do take it very seriously. And I, being a dancer, I do practice it very well. So I taught a young man yoga, and he was talking about having a lot of fatigue. And that was number one, which wanted you to address. And number two, there is always this notion, right? There is always, when you want to try yoga, something which may be foreign, which you may not be aware of, the word yoga sometimes seems like it's such a spiritual thing, and, oh, it's not meant for me kind of attitude, right? I mean, that's only when you don't know about it. Please throw some light into that aspect of how natural this whole process of yoga is. Not even called yoga, it's called yoga, right? The good old name that's been given, and how that can actually enhance our lifestyle. And we really don't need to be an expert at it. Like, I do it the way I like it, and I do it in my comfort zone. And I feel very energized with just doing those little things that I do. So please add some value to that and give us some insight on that.
Well, a lot of questions there. I think it will take probably 3 days to cover all of that. But let's try, and we'll start with what we can. So, in very quick thing about hey, do you have to be an expert to do it, right? Well, I never got formally educated in yoga or yoga, as you rightly said. Probably about 4 or 5 years back. Before that, it was a class here or a class there, or during school what you picked up from your teacher, because I was in one of the schools where from the very childhood we were taught to do these things, right? As you rightly said, you do have some basic things. You cannot have no training. I mean, you do need to know what are the right things to do, and what are the things that you really need to avoid. But at the same time, do you need to have a degree in yoga, or you have to do a yoga teacher's training to train in yoga? I don't think that's the right notion. One of the things that we keep saying at VaYU Shakti, and I know you keep saying that, it's not about what somebody else is telling you, because if you just close your eyes and listen to your own body, and you flow with what your body is telling you, it will tell you. And I mean, yoga did not come. It was not like something came from the heavens, right? It was discovered by our ancestors, and they sort of experimented with it. A lot of these things, you can look at your own body as your laboratory rather than having external laboratory. And that's what they did. They sat with their eyes closed. They did their practices, and they figured out all of these things on their own. So if you have the ability to do that, you are the best yoga, practitioner out there. Nobody can beat you, right? Anybody who is learning it from outside, then has to do the same thing after that, right? So if you don't have, if you have that ability, you are already ahead of pretty much everybody else, right? So that's one thing I would say. Um, Circling back to your question about fatigue, I think what you said at the beginning, right? The three pillars of VaYU Shakti: the nutrition, the physical practices, and the coaching. I think all three will play a huge role into addressing that, and I'm sure you are doing that with your student. Um, I think we 2 or 3 weeks back we talked about this concept of prana, and I had made a statement that you don't get prana just from your breathing, you get prana from your food as well. And in fact, that may be a more important source of prana than the air that you are breathing. And if you are not eating good food and you are trying to get most of your prana from your breathing, you are actually overtaxing your lungs, and that's not a good thing either, right? So that's one aspect that I would say. Nutrition is very, very important when it comes to fatigue. And a lot of times we say you are what you eat, but we also talked about that Ayurveda says that you are what you digest, right? So it's very important to figure out whether are you just eating a lot of complex food, which by the label says that yes, it's a very healthy food, but then are you able to digest it, right? We all know that the multi-grain food has become very it's like in vogue these days, right? You go to some of these high-end grocery stores, you will get a 21 grain bread, you will get an 18 grain bread. The question, and I look, again, you have to see whether it works for you or not. I'm not denouncing anything. I'm not saying that don't do it. But when you are eating a bread which is that complex, is your body able to digest it, right? And you will know that. You have to eat it and see how where it goes with it. Maybe it is better for you to eat a single grain bread, but that's something which is not very processed, right? So you have to look at those things, I would say. So you are what you digest is a very important thing. Sleep is extremely important. What is your circadian rhythm? Now, I don't know how old your student is, but if she is a teenager or has just come out of college or is a young professional trying to excel in his or her career, they need to look at, are they sleeping, on time? It's not only about number of hours, but when do you sleep? It's also very important to eat at the right time. Intermittent fasting is something that has become very fashionable these days. I would definitely suggest trying it out. It's not for everybody. Some of these things become a gospel, and then it is like, oh, everybody will benefit from it. No, that's not true. Again, you have to see whether it works for you or not. And then when you have done all of that, then you can come to yoga probably.
Well, that said, Saurabh, I know you are talking about, especially when we come with VaYU Shakti, we do have programs that can be pretty dynamic, that can be exclusive, where we bring protocol programs that have been tried over and over again for heart disease or for depression or for Alzheimer's or for, we were talking about last week about doing it for the hospice. And now we're talking about doing it for children.
Yep.
But again, my point is that whatever little yoga you do, whatever exercises you do, I think the most critical part is the breathing, the inhale and the exhale, and how calm you are while you do it, rather than, say that, oh, I have to do a 45 minutes and I have to stretch so much and I have to get this far with my asana. If you are able to ease that for yourself in a lot of ways, and I really think that's probably when you end up causing damage to your body parts and end up in accidents. And I've heard a lot of these experiences where they say yoga is not for me because it's got a lot of tough exercises. But really, I think you're only making it tough for yourself because you're challenging yourself to get to the extremes of, very high performance level. But at a smaller proportion, I feel you still will benefit from doing very simple exercises of yoga with proper breathing. inhale and exhale, where the inhale is, the exhale is double the time, right? Isn't that what you always recommend, that when you
Yes.
inhale, you exhale double the time?
Exhale should be longer than the inhalation, and double is a general guideline. If you can have it a little bit longer than the inhale, that's a start. And then people who are really accomplished, they can have their exhales 5 times longer than the inhale, or even much more than that. But that takes years worth of practice. But little bit longer than the inhalation is a good start.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And interestingly, I had actually done a session with our India Home clients, and I spoke to them about fall prevention, because this September is fall prevention.
Yes.
Let's throw a little bit of insight on that for everybody, because fall prevention is not just only for seniors in my account. I think that flexibility, that rigidity, that agility, and that stability that you get, all of which is very critical, can be applicable to many different people, not just for seniors. So if you can, give some good tips on that, about fall prevention, September being fall prevention. And then we should also talk about the current program that we're going to start with the children. So,
Oh, sure. Yes, yes.
please.
So I think, when as you rightly said, fall prevention has become sort of synonymous with elder care, primarily because obviously you see more falls with elders. Why do you have that? Because, the cognitive abilities start going down, your, limbs are weaker. So obviously, the chances of fall are higher. But when does it set in? How does it start? I think it starts at an earlier age, and there are instances where people who have fallen once, they have the tendency to fall again and again, right? So because again, your mind plays tricks. That's number one. But you're also, have structural deficiencies at times, which then lead you to more and more falls. So, the program that we have built for fall prevention actually does take care of these structural deficiencies along with cognitive impairment. So, all of those things are taken care of, and it's not only older adults who benefit from that. It's, in fact, I would say even teenagers can benefit from that, to that extent, right? So that's very, very important to understand that. Especially the cognitive side of it, and we talk about it, that the calf muscles are considered the second heart of your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where you have to throw back all the blood back up the body, right, against the gravity. So these protocols have been designed in a manner to prop up all of those faculties of your body. So yes, it is. I would say it is not only for older adults by any means.
Well, I did talk about a little bit about the nutritional aspects for fall prevention, how you can, how you can avoid these falls by having more stability, by having more muscle strength, or the brown fat, they say. That is only possible when you are getting ample amount of calories. And at the same point, if you are overweight or at a category where you need to lose some weight and have more, muscle mass versus fat mass, that is something you need to work towards also. Protein was an important factor that I definitely, throw some significance into, and vitamin D, calcium, and omega-3 fatty acids. So I know we don't have all the time to give sources and more information, but this is just for your understanding, my dear viewers and my dear listeners, that when we are talking about fall prevention, if you can be age 40, age 30, age 20, pack up all that good nutrients now. So when you're 60, you don't have to worry so much about it. You probably still have to keep up, but then you've done a good job keeping up with your nutrition factors with protein, omega-3, vitamin D, calcium, and all the good stuff. So just wanted to, add a little bit value to what you were talking about. So that's wonderful. And with VaYU Shakti, our programs are very dynamic. We don't just cater to elder care. This is just one particular banner that we're right now addressing, but we do have corporate programs. We do have programs we specifically provide for children. We do, retail. We also do a lot of individual sessions. Each of these that we do are individualized. They are always catered to you and not just for you. That makes a big difference. All right. So Saurabh, give us some excitement about this new program that we're working on. I hear that we're going to be starting to work with kids. I love to do that. I always think that we get, more rejuvenated and more energized when you're around with children, because they are youth, and their energy kind of drives you to do the fun stuff. So what is it all about?
Well, I can't be more excited about that. I'll be completely honest with you. It's a huge privilege that we are getting associated with a program that is being offered in the inner city of Newark, New Jersey. It's a program for underprivileged kids at their school. It's for supposed to be for middle schoolers and high schoolers. We are starting with the middle schoolers for now, and then it will expand into high school as well. I was very surprised that there was a statistics that I read in the brochure of this program itself, that a lot of these crimes that are associated with teenagers and kids, most of them happen between 3 o'clock in the afternoon, about when the school ends, till about 7 or 8 in the evening. By which time their parents are back at home and they want the kids back at home. So it's this time in between where they have no supervision, or they have time at their hand. They are with their friends, roaming around outside, right? And that's where they probably lose their way in some fashion, right? So this program is for kids in that age range, and trying to keep them busy and give them not only keeping them away from the negativity, but give them a lot of positivity, right? So
Sure.
it's a huge thing in my mind, and we are getting involved from from the VaYU Shakti's core strengths point of view. So we will be working with them on yoga, on physical exercises, on mental exercises, cognitive abilities, lifestyle coaching, all of that, right? So we'll play our part in there, and hopefully we'll have good results coming out of it. So I'm very, very excited about it.
That is fantastic. That is really, really exciting, Saurabh, because each time you do these programs with different demographics or different groups, we've worked quite a bit with older adults, and we've seen for ourselves that they come back and tell us. When we did this program with Elmhurst, they came and told us after 8 weeks what was a big difference. So I am not going to, think about it any less with these children, where we can not only keep them involved and stay away from trouble, if that's probably what that they're looking at is in statistics, but also get them busy with their body, and once that body gets busy, the mind starts working, you'll be set in track to do the right kind of things. So positivity is all we're looking at here, and the excitement is certainly on. So if your schools or if your neighborhood requires a coaching program like this, VaYU Shakti is your one-stop place. We definitely are the people to get to. Not only that, we also have a lot of wonderful technologies that can put this into perspective, which we have spoken about before, where you can integrate a lot of your iWatch details or your Apple Watch details or your Fitbit details, your electronic record details, and we can actually map it out for you to give you a good perspective of where you stand with physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual well-being. So much so, always wonderful to be there for High Tea with VaYU Shakti. Come along with your tea, coffee, whatever it is, or just come to talk to us. But we would love to hear from you, and really your motivation, your questions, your queries, your intrigue is really what's going to keep us going. We will still be here talking, you and me, Saurabh, but it's more fun when we have participation. And so we'll stay on for our next week's Thursdays. 3 p.m. is what we usually have it, but we're a little, flexible on our timings. So anywhere between 3 and 3:15 is what we will have it. And we will be at your disposal in terms of queries, in terms of any classes that you would like to do. VaYU Shakti is the integrative wellness program or the wellness company that will be at your service when you need us. So thank you so much, Saurabh. Have a wonderful afternoon and the rest of the week and the weekend. And to all our viewers, stay tuned for Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with VaYU Shakti High Tea. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.